Hi, this is Pat McDonald, your host for Banter and Beans, where we ask the question, what's brewing in Montpelier? And joining me in studio is Samantha Kolber, who is the owner of Rootstock Publishing. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Pat.
Yes, this is great. Very exciting. I have so many questions.
Oh, go ahead.
But could you tell us a little bit about yourself first and the business?
So myself, I've been in Montpelier for almost 30 years.
Oh.
A pretty close community. I'm a writer, I'm a poet, I'm a mother. I've worked at Bear Pond Books for many years. I helped run their event series. So many people might know me from that. And then 2 years ago, I bought Rootstock Publishing from the founding publishers, Stephen MacArthur and Ricky Gard Diamond. They founded the publishing company here in Montpelier in 2017. And then I took over, as I said, 2 years ago. And we've been steadily growing. I think in 2017, they did about 3 or 4 books that year. And then every year since, been growing more. I started working for Stephen in 2019, helping to get the poetry series up and running. That year, I think we published 8 books. And then in 2020, we jumped up to 10 books a year. Great. And now in 2024, at the end of this year, we will have published 18 books this year. Wonderful. So we have a total of about 65 titles now.
That's great. Yeah. How do you get these books? How do they come to you, and how do you select them? What you want to work with?
That's a good question. They come from all over, mostly word of mouth, but also from submissions on a platform called Submittable, where many writers are there looking for places to submit their manuscripts. They're looking for publishers. They're looking for agents. And so I'd say about 90% of our authors are here in Vermont, and we do have authors from all over the globe. We have authors in Ohio, in Miami, Washington State. And so they submit them to Rootstock. We have a portal on our website when you go to rootstockpublishing.com. And then we have a team of readers who will read the manuscripts to assess the quality and if they're good and if they're a good fit for what we like to publish. We mostly publish all genres, fiction, nonfiction, poetry, children's books, but they do have to be of very high quality. I myself, I said I'm a writer, and I have my MFA degree, so I read a lot. I read about 100 books a year, so it has to be a good story that I like, that I want to read for me to want to publish it.
Nice.
So yeah.
So and I'm just curious about, so you get it, do you edit it, and do you make suggestions to the author about?
Oh yeah. A lot of editing goes into the work. We hire editors. We have freelance editors that we work with. Many are right here in central Vermont. Nice. So we will pair a manuscript with an editor that's a good fit for the genre and the word count and what it needs. And then, the editor will make many suggestions for making it as best as it could be. And then when I look at it, I do a final, what I call a publisher's edit. Because I will look at things that I know the publishing industry is looking at right now, things about effective language, authentic voices. And then also things that I know judges at book awards will look for. It has to be really tight. The characters have to be authentic. The story arc has to be good. Right. So oftentimes, I will look for those things. And we have a really good track record of winning indie book awards. I would say almost half, I think maybe even more than half, 50% of our books have won independent book awards.
Wow, that is very impressive. And you were talking about the illustrators, that you have some that you work with that will help the author make the words come alive.
If it's a book that needs illustrations, we do know artists and we recommend them. We don't hire them ourselves. It would be on the author's side to do that.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you how does it work from a getting paid perspective? I was thinking about that. If you're selling the books for these folks?
Well, we have a distributor, and they get the books into the bookstores and all of the book retail outlets.
Oh, okay. So that's that's a system that's been in place for forever. So they keep track.
Yeah, any bookstore, Bear Pond Books right downtown, they carry our books, and any bookstore around the country can access our books. Nice. They can get them through the distributor.
Oh, okay. So the distributor promotes it and does all that stuff?
Yeah.
Excellent. What fun. There's a whole new industry here that I didn't even know about.
And it's right here in
right.
Montpelier.
It's very exciting. That's great. So is it just, well, you said you really hire people by contract.
Yeah.
So you don't have any employees.
I have an assistant who is an author and an editor herself,
Oh.
but she assists in marketing and publicity and helping me with editorial decisions.
Okay.
And she's really great.
That's good. I had I do on here, and plus I was doing a radio show for a couple of years, and I brought on a lot. There's so many authors right here in Barre and Montpelier area, and I would bring them on because I think it's fascinating. We know these people, and they've got these amazing books out there.
One of our authors, who unfortunately passed away earlier this year, Ken Libertoff, he had a wonderful quote where he said, "Everyone has a story to tell." And and he discovered that as he was writing his own memoir, which we published earlier this year, and it's really true. And I think about that often, that everyone has a story to tell.
Yeah, and he is a great. He is a great man.
He
great
had many good stories.
Oh, for sure.
I highly recommend his book.
Yep, I worked with him off and on over the years. I worked at state government, so I ran into Ken a lot.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know he passed away, so I was
I'm
like,
sorry. I'm sorry. It was back.
so
It was
I have to,
back
no,
in
that's
March,
okay.
I think.
I'm glad I know. I'll
Yeah.
have to do something because he's a wonderful man.
Yeah. His service was a full house. I mean, it was.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah,
I bet it was. There was somebody that was in a little bit of trouble here in Vermont, and I called him. He was on vacation, and he came back to work to help her.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of guy
he was so
He didn't
generous.
even think twice about it.
So generous.
Yep, he
yeah.
just got on a plane and came back.
Yeah.
It was amazing. So how were you impacted by COVID and by the flood? I'm sure a lot of stuff you do is more by phone or by Zoom.
It's all digital, right?
Yep.
The flood impacted my house personally, and I do run the business out of my home, but the business side wasn't affected other than my time and cleaning up the house and everything we had to do.
Was it your first floor or just the basement?
Just the basement, luckily. We were very lucky. Our house actually sits on the line on the map that says flood zone ends here. So, and it
you
really
watched the flood.
It really did because
good.
all of my neighbors sadly had 6 feet of water in their basement, and we were lucky with about 6 inches.
Wow.
So, and even 6 inches does a nasty thing down there. So there was a lot of cleanup. My business, I can run it from anywhere, which is nice. I'm going on vacation next week for Thanksgiving.
You keep running it?
But I'll take my laptop and I'll keep
They'll
doing
never
things.
know.
Yeah.
That's great. Oh, I feel sorry about that because water is very, very heavy.
Oh, yeah.
We had a flood in our house, not associated with any big floods here, just flooding. And I have a vac and I'm mapping it up, and I couldn't pick it up. Because water is
It's
like
very
ridiculous.
heavy. And luckily, all of my books were up on a different floor, so they
good.
weren't
That's
affected. But I hope it doesn't reach the first floor because then my books would be affected.
So you do work with authors from here, from Montpelier and Barre and around the area?
Yeah, which is nice. Then we can meet in person and go over things.
Yeah.
But a lot of times we have Zoom meetings and we talk on the phone.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, I don't. I think there's somebody in Bristol that used to do book publishing and stuff years ago. They may not be there anymore. Are there others in
There's
Vermont?
a number of publishers.
Really?
There's Green Writers Press. They're down in the Brattleboro area. Dee Dee Cummings is the founder and publisher of that, and they publish many fine books. They did Bernie's Mitten Maker by Jen.
That was amazing.
The woman who made the mittens out of the sweaters that Bernie
some
wore.
idea, and it just took off like wildfire.
Yeah, and they do a ton of great books. I think Chelsea Green is still out of Vermont, and up in Burlington, there's Onion River Press, which is run in conjunction with Phoenix Books.
Oh, Phoenix, I know that name. Yeah, great.
So there are a number
right here in Vermont.
of small presses. Yeah, we're very lucky. We have a lot of writers, a lot of poets, a lot of artists, right?
I have actually anything you want, ironworks. I mean, anything. My jewelry.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we have so fortunate the artists and talent that we have in this state. I've always thought we should publish that as instead of talking about some of the other things that we offer here. We have got we're just so rich in talent.
So rich.
It's ridiculous.
And I think we do a really great job through, the Arts Council is always marketing, and there's so many arts festivals and book fairs even. There was the Green Mountain Book Festival up in Burlington a few weeks ago, and then in October there was also the Brattleboro Literary Festival.
Oh, nice.
So there's plenty of opportunities to meet authors and to talk about books.
That's
and,
great.
Yeah.
That's excellent. So you feel that you're sort of back on your feet, or not that you were ever off your feet, that things are moving along?
I'd say they're moving. We're steadily growing. I'm a little nervous with the future, as many people probably are. But so far we're steadily growing, and I think we're in a good spot. I think everybody here in our community knows the importance of shopping local and supporting our artisans, right? And supporting our local commerce and local community. So I think that's going to be in our favor. But we'll see. So far, for 2025, I have 18 books scheduled to publish, which is, again, we published 18 this year. So
excellent.
We're full for 2025, and anyone who has a manuscript submitted to us from now on will be slated for 2026.
Great, excellent. Yeah. That says a lot.
Yeah. I'm always thinking ahead. I used to run the alumni magazine at Goddard College, and I was always 6 months ahead because I was always on the next issue. And so it's very much in publishing. You're always in the next year. So in my mind, I've been already working on the 2025 books for months.
You should teach some of us how to do that. That's a skill.
Spreadsheets. Lots of, like, I have a spreadsheet that's so big you wouldn't believe that it's workable. It has, I'm in the double letters, like, the A through Z.
Oh, really?
But I'm into A,
double
A,
A's,
B, B.
yeah.
It's so big, but it really helps track every step along the way.
Somebody always says to me, "Are you ready for Christmas?" I said, "What, is it the 25th yet?" What? I
already have 4 Christmas presents.
Oh dear, now you're making
hidden
me
around
feel
the house. I'm one of those. I overcompensate. I guess I over.
Good for you though. It gets it done.
Overschedule, I guess.
It gets it done.
Yeah.
I am just at last minute.
Yeah.
And then I'm wondering why I'm always stressed.
Yeah.
But I've tried. It's impossible. So there you go. So we just have a few minutes left, and I don't know if Montpelier Alive has worked with you or.
I love them. I'm a member, and even though I don't have a storefront, I find that the community that they build with business owners and our local commerce community is great. I like going to the mixers. Good. The newsletters are great. I always love knowing what's happening. I submit my news to them every time we have a new book or a book launch or an author doing a reading.
Well, they're celebrating their 25th anniversary this year. Is that amazing?
I feel like they just started.
And Katie Trouts, who's the head of it now, I mean, I don't know where she gets her energy or her creative ideas, I must say, because she's always got something cooking.
Yeah.
So, and I went to one of their meetings, and I noticed the camaraderie between the businesses. Yeah. And you don't have to have a storefront. In doing these series, there are so many businesses on second floors. Yeah. I'm shocked. Yeah. Because somehow, I don't know how they're all there. Yeah. We have a lot of businesses in this place.
It's really great, and a lot of services. I've met people doing graphic design services that then I could hire for book covers.
Excellent.
A lot of Montpelier businesses.
That's great, excellent. So what would you like to tell our viewers? Anything just...
In addition to, buying local, support our local bookstores, support all of our local businesses. Can I hold up a few books?
Yes, please do.
I brought some of our local
great.
Books. We have Notes from the Porch by Thomas Christopher Green.
Nice.
This is the small paperback version. It came out in hardcover in February, and then we did this little paperback because it makes a great stocking stuffer gift.
That's great.
It's adorable. You can read it in an afternoon.
What is it about?
It's called Tiny True Stories to Make You Feel Better About the World. Oh. It's the kind of thing that will make you say, but it might make you cry. There's some really sweet and poignant ones too. And Tom Green is the founder of the Vermont College of Fine Arts, and now he runs Hugo's Restaurant and Grill.
Yes,
and he's a novelist. He's got a new novel coming out, I think, next year, so we should look for that. And then poems by Toussaint St. Negritude, Mountain Spells. He's a poet in the Northeast Kingdom, but everybody I know just adores him. He's a musician.
Do you print your poetry? Is it available? For
I have a book of poetry from another press that came out in 2020.
Excellent. But that is a talent.
Yeah.
Poetry to be able to write poetry that is meaningful and understanding, that you can really understand it.
Yeah.
Some I
What I
struggle.
love about Toussaint's poetry is that because he's a musician, this is very rhythmic.
Lyrical?
It's very it has a rhythm and it has a
Nice.
musicality, and it's accessible that way. And if you have a chance to see him live, he did a reading at Bear Pond recently, but he's doing more. He often sings his poems.
Oh, lovely.
So they're really quite sweet. And this was a bestseller at Bear Pond Books last month, and they have it on their shelf right now.
Interesting.
This just came out this month. It's a graphic novel, which is it's a graphic noir, and there's illustrations by
Nice.
Annie Baxt, who is our Bohemian Bakery owner. And then the text is written by Howard Norman, who's another local author, but a celebrated author,
great.
like National Book Award finalist.
And the title
author.
is I Refuse to Be a War Bride. That sounds
Yeah,
fascinating.
I Refuse to Be a War Bride, and it's part of this Detective Levy Detects series. So this is episode 3. They put out their first 2 episodes previously, and then came to Rootstock for this
Right in
third
Vermont.
episode. Yeah, it's and it's all local. It takes place in a cafe, and the Montpelier Inn is in here, and the
Nice.
State House is, and Senator Leahy makes an appearance. Of course, fictionalized, of
Yes,
course.
right.
It's all fiction.
Oh, that's
so these
great.
are really fun. This could be a good gift item at the bookstore as well.
So
And do we have
just
time for one more?
We have one more, and then
So
we have
one
to-
more. This is one of our top sellers. It's a memoir. It's called All Who Believed, and it's a memoir of life in the 12 tribes, which is a religious cult
yes,
and community. It's right here in Vermont, but they're also global. The author Tamara Matthew lives in St. Albans.
I know, I've met
And
her.
she was in the 12 tribes community for 14 years. She had 4
Wow.
kids. She had a husband. And this is her story of what she endured while she was there, and then how she left and finally, came out to reality. And
Right.
it's pretty intense, but as I said, it's one of our top sellers because I think people are so curious about that, and how do you get sucked into a cult, and how do you survive?
Right.
So this is
And it's
is really
alive
great.
and well here now?
Oh yeah, they're in
Yes.
Rutland. There's a big community in Rutland, and they have the Yellow Deli Cafe that they run.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
And they're all over in upstate New York and Massachusetts, and they're in Tennessee, Georgia, Florida.
Yeah, we have to
Oh, yeah.
end the show, but I can't thank you enough to find out all that you do and that
Oh,
you're
thank you.
involved in.
Thank you.
It's just a whole new world.
Yeah.
Right
Well, I
here
love
in-
talking
in
about
Montreal.
books. So.
Well, that's great. So Samantha Kolber, thank you very much. And from Rootstock Publishing, this is Pat McDonald, your host for Banter and Beans, where we're asking the question, what's brewing in Montpelier?